Okay, we're going to kick off the acid-base unit here, where we're going to just take a look at this chart really quick that you guys have seen in grade 8 and grade 9 to just kind of identify where we're at in the unit and the types of things that we're going to be looking at in terms of substances. So if you remember, everything on Earth is made out of matter, either solids, liquids, or gases. And it branches off into two main parts. We've got mixtures and pure substances, and you probably remember this diagram where we've got elements and compounds, or two types of pure substances. And then over here we have two types of mixtures. Mechanical mixtures, which sometimes we're referred to as heterogeneous mixtures, and solutions, which sometimes we're referred to as homogeneous mixtures. Now, the solutions part of things here, this is where we're going to be spending all of our time, is right here with these types of substances. And if you remember what a solution is it's a substance that it's a mixture. It's made of two or more substances, but it's a mixture that you can't see the different parts to it. And so an example of that would be Kool-Aid, for example. You mix water and sugar and a Kool-Aid pack together, and you can't see the different parts of that mixture. They're there, but you can't see the different parts. Sometimes we'll deal with acids or bases where they're just mixtures that looks like water, but it's not water, which is a pure substance, a compound. It's an acid, which is mixed with water and some other substances in the solution. And so this is where we're going to sit. We're going to spend all of our time right here at this part of the diagram. This diagram as a whole you don't need to know. I just put it over here as just kind of a quick intro of this is where the acid-base unit's going to be. Okay, so I'll be right back with our first concept. So just a couple of solution vocabulary that you guys need to be aware of moving forward throughout this unit. First of all, again, to recap from the previous video, solutions are substances that are made up of at least two or more substances. And those two or more substances can be classified into two major categories because one of the substances is clearly going to be dissolving the other, or the other substances that are dropped in. So for solvents, for the first category is a solvent. These are substances that do the dissolving, so they're dissolving other things that are put into them. So water is a really good example of a good solvent. The other category is solutes, and these are substances that dissolve in the solvent. And so a couple of examples here that I've got down below to just kind of illustrate this and what types of solutions we end up with because of this. We've got two substances, sodium chloride and sucrose. Now the common names for these, if you've been memorizing your memorization sheet, is this is table salt and this is table sugar. And we know that both of these substances dissolve very well in water. And because we're talking about solutions for this unit, that's the only thing that we really care about, is looking at substances that dissolve in other substances, so that we can get a solution that appears to be one substance but really isn't. So if I drop this table salt into water, what actually ends up happening is I get sodium ions. And I write Na plus aqueous here. Aqueous means that it's soluble in water, and I just write AQ in brackets down below like that. And then I also have chloride ions that are also soluble in water. And so I put salt into water and I end up with these ions in the solution. Over here for table sugar, that process doesn't happen. If I just stick a clump of sugar in that's, say, got 1 billion sugar molecules, well, each of those sugar molecules is just going to separate from the other sugar molecules, but I'll still have all the sugar molecules completely intact. So it'll be just a complete C12H22O11 molecule that's soluble, aqueous, in the water, and it's just sitting there. So the main difference between these two solutions you can see is that this one contains ions, and this one doesn't contain ions. And so we give these two solutions different names. This one is called an electrolyte, and this one is called a non-electrolyte. And that's the definition of them, simply, is that an electrolyte is a solution that contains ions, and a non-electrolyte is a solution that doesn't contain ions. How this process happens, you guys don't need to know that quite yet. There will be a video further down the road that will talk about a concept called dissociation. But for right now, you just need to know what an electrolyte is and what a non-electrolyte is, and how to determine whether a substance will make a solution an electrolyte or not is subject for a future lesson. So until then, see you guys in the next one.